Palafin EX is a card that people have been trying to make work for a really long time. I mean, the Pokemon is a stage 1 with 340 HP. It does 250 damage. Granted, the caveat of having to actually switch out and go through a bunch of extra hoops, actually get the Palafin EX, has held it back. But as we've started to see more people experiment with different engines, I think that we found an engine that makes the deck work, which is the Oranguru V engine. This is great because it gives you access to early dogs with Pecharunt, which is especially good in this metagame, as decks are primarily trying to go second, and there's a lot of Badoos running around. So having the advantage of going first and possibly being able to win the game before the opponent even gets to make a move is awesome. But it also fits very well into Palafin's overall strategy, while playing by a different game plan. And so I think this deck is very neat, and I think it has a lot of potential. My only downside to playing this deck is typically when people are playing Palafin on the ladder, TCG Live gets even buggier. I encountered like 10 different bugs in the making of this video. But yeah, I mean, otherwise it's a fun deck. I will give some credits here to JGut15. I'll have a link to them in the description of the video, but this is where I got the deck list from. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment down below, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the games. Alrighty, getting started here. I think this deck is super fun and super interesting, but like I said, I'm not sure if I can really call this deck good. I will say the one thing it kinda has going for it is a going first deck, and typically if a format is basically super one-sided, choosing like one of the few decks that actually wants to go in the opposite direction is good. So I'd say a good example like this is like early Scarlet and Violet. Every deck wanted to go second. That way they can, or not second, they wanted to go first, so they can start evolving and do a bunch of other stuff super aggressively against the opponent. But one deck that wanted to go second was Miraidon, and so Miraidon was very well positioned in that case, because it could take advantage of going second and punishing the opponent for that. And so right now we're back in a state where everyone wants to go all second because they're trying to, play their supporters and not get Badoo locked, and all this other fun stuff. So I think it's super important to like look out for these types of decks. And I'm not saying Palafin is like the best choice for this, but it is nice that, if we have a turn 1 donk and everyone's going second, then it kind of has those draws to. Granted, there's other decks out there that like kind of ignore this rule, or aren't dogged by Pecharunt, for example, which would be stuff like Rescue Board. I don't know why this is so hard to think of. And like Roaring Moon. And those things could definitely survive Pecharunt's donk. So, and also people might just put down more than one Pokemon. I typically don't, but I don't think that's optimal right now, especially with Pecharunt sliding around. I think you're supposed to, show your whole full bench if you can in your opening hand, but, that's where we are. I also feel like I make a misplay here. I still was trying to get some experience in this deck, and I think I should have sat the Oranguru possibly in the active. If not, actually, this is fine. I remember why I did this now. I did this because I didn't want to lose my 2 prizes this turn. Unfortunately, my opponent has boss, so it's like, what can he do? And they put down the jamming tower, so it's not looking super great for me. Thankfully, I do just top deck into the Palafin here, which is kind of swag. And I'm able to just go ahead and get my Pecharunt back, which will allow me to fully evolve, but I am missing the energy. And I am also, like, I really want the stadium bump right now. I go ahead and try and force Sealstone. I don't even remember for what. I think just for the energy, but I'm like, oh, jamming tower, shit. Which is, why I have to do this. I think we pull the Gravity Mountain, which isn't, like, helpful necessarily outside of, like, getting rid of the jamming tower, which is nice. And now, because of that, we are going to be able to go ahead and take a knockout. If I had put the poison damage onto the Duraludon earlier, then I think it would have been better, because then I could have knocked this out with the poison damage, as opposed to knocking it out flat by damage. And that's only relevant because of the Fezandipiti here. The Fezandipiti is going to be able to draw 3 cards, so I would consider that a misplay, because I didn't realize how impactful that like 1 damage is going to be. And, the grand scheme of things, it didn't matter. It didn't matter for, getting the knockout, because I was eventually going to be able to poison them anyways. But it didn't matter for giving them 3 more cards and keep them, like, in the game a little bit further. So, my bad on that front. Other than that, my setup here is looking kind of okay. They got rid of 2 supporters. I really don't know what they got cooking in their hand right now, but they don't have a lot of energies lying around on the field, and they don't have a lot of Duraludons or Chalodons, which is also good, because it means that this Dialga is likely to not be fully charged up this turn, which I really need to keep going for me. I do like the different combinations of things that you have in this deck. Also, like, remember when I said Palafin was bugging the game out? That was like the least offensive bug that was happening. I was having the game slow down. I was having games where like my timer was going down on my opponent's turn. So when my opponent finished the turn, it ended my turn like immediately. It's like, what the fuck? So definitely weird stuff going on whenever this deck gets played. I do think that, personally, if I was playing this list, like, if I was to build this deck in person, I'd probably cut the Canceling Cologne. One, because, if we're talking about my locals, I don't think anyone has played a deck where I really need to fear this, but mostly that, like, I just don't think it's extremely helpful. I guess it's nice against, like, Cornerstone, stuff like that, but that matchup seems so kind of fringe right now that I don't feel like I need to prepare for it. And then when it comes to stuff like Mimikyu, as like an alternative, maybe Pecharunt could go ahead and deal with that. And technically, Finizen could also knock out Bidoof. My opponent is going to slow roll me here, so, I've essentially won the game. Since I can't do much about this, I'll just talk a little bit more about like some of the cool pieces in this deck. The Finizen is able to do 30 damage, which is nice. Killing a Bidoof immediately, is good stuff. And I also kind of like how Precious Trolley just makes everything fit together. So typically, like, the game plan is like, hey, you want to like get into a Oranguru early, grab a Forest Seal Stone, Agent Booster, Rescue Board, or whatever, and try to set up your board state as much as possible. That way, so you can start setting up for your Palafin combo later, and possibly even dunk the opponent, which will spoil come up in a future game. I do wish that there was like a few more ways of maybe picking up a Pokemon. I would not mind like a Penny in this deck, or even like a Collapsed Stadium to a degree, because once the Oranguru or the Lumineon is like done for, it's like, well, I don't really need this guy anymore, and they're occupying bench space. So it'd be nice if I had a way to like clear up one more bench slot here, because especially like in this situation, it's like, well, I want to get a Fez down, or I might want to play Lumineon. Those things could all be helpful, but, currently I'm board locked, which is kind of the only issue with this deck, is that it gets board locked easy because you have to play, somebody one-ofs. I'd say my optimal board state is something along the lines of this, with the Pecharunt, the two Palafins, Brute Bonnet, and Oranguru, and then whatever your dark pivot is. This could be a Morpeko who can do it for free, which is nice because it reduces the stress off your setup. But you can also use Radiant Sneasler, who will, of course, increase the damage that your opponent takes, allowing you to hit even bigger numbers. I believe it'll allow you to hit 320, which is enough to kill a Dragon Bolt, which is cool. Also, like, it's fucking Jover for my opponent here. They start with the fucking Trap Edge, and there's just nothing they can do. I'm contemplating, like, putting the Rescue Board a little bit, but I'm like, wait, this doesn't matter, because I can just grab the Forest Seal Stone and the Ancient Booster Capsule. And then, just go crazy. Because I can grab Precious Trolley, boom, grab the Brute Bonnet, the Pecharunt EX, and the Sneasler. I definitely didn't need the Sneasler here, so if my opponent had an extra Pokemon play, this is where you grab your Finizen instead and try to set that up, but, my opponent's not even gonna get the chance to play. It does remind me of the League Cup where I was playing Arven Valiente, and I knocked out my opponent's Bidoof turn 1, and they could not qualify for Top Cut because of that, and that was kind of awesome. So goofy. Anyways, here's another game where I rocked the Precious Trolley immediately. I will say, I think that I played against a few decks, and the item lock decks were a pain. I don't know how this type of archetype is supposed to be item lock without... Yeah, I just don't know. Especially like all the Frost Asses and stuff like that. It's just really, really rough against him. Also, I grab triple Finizen here because I'm a little stupid sometimes. I definitely should have either grabbed the Brute Bonnet or just only grabbed 4 Pokemon in general. I don't need this much on the field, and not having the Brute Bonnet here can kind of punish me. I do believe the Baby Pecharunt was prized, which is why I didn't go for the Donk here. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to play the rest of this game out. I also think that I should have maybe just kept the Oranguru in the active instead of using the Pecharunt here. because, I mean, there's no reason to, right? I'm not really scared of my opponent dogging me or doing anything like super intense. And so next turn, Oranguru could have fetched me 2 more cards, which isn't much because I don't think any of those cards are really going to do much, but it would have been 2 less cards to draw into. Or, you know, it could have possibly been the card I needed to get out of a situation, such as the Rescue Board. Just an example, right? I also, like, didn't know what my opponent was playing, so, you know, now we see that it's Dragon Ball Frostlass. Thankfully not the item block version. Also, didn't attach my Force Seal Stone beforehand, which I don't necessarily think was correct. As I'm going to go ahead and just grab Irida, try to set up, you know, my Palafin EX and get chugging along with it. Thankfully, with the Morpeko and everything, I'll be in a good spot, and I even get to heal up just to play around the Frostlass a little bit more. We're going to go ahead and set the 0 to hero. And despite like switching around like 3 times this turn, I still never used my actual free retreat, which is cool. And we're gonna go ahead and be able to get the attack here. I also do think I messed up here, and that I should have probably used the Earthen Vessel, probably discarding the Rescue Board since it seems like it's not necessary. I could be wrong, but it didn't seem that good here. I could have also considered dumping the Gravity Mountain, but grabbing the extra energy now would have been okay just for charging up the other guys. That said, it doesn't seem to be relevant because my opponent's not playing cards at all, which, you know, sucks for them. As I'm finally going to go ahead and do the Earthen Vessel, take an extra prize here, and get rid of the Frostlasses, which is great. I like not having to worry about my entire board staying getting nuked over the course of like 50 turns. And my opponent isn't really going to have anything else going on here. A shorter video today, but, you know, still cool stuff going on with the deck. Thought it'd be cool to showcase. I like Palafin. Artwork's cool. Wish I could get one in person. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys around.